a lot of stuff to think about. And this is a draft, and there's some verbiage that needs to be updated. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
So let me ask you one.
Certainly.
I would think that we were too late to change it for this year.
There's a possibility we could change it for this year. I think we have to the middle of January to get something that we approve to go to the state, and that's going to be a tough deadline to meet, obviously, when we're at this draft phase.
Especially with all holidays and everything else.
But I'm here to provide you with the information you need, and that's what we're at least attempting to do at this point to kick it off. We can have multiple meetings with one or two of you. I'd be more than happy to meet as needed to clarify items. The main thing is to get a direction on where you want to go. It's always good to come up with something you can mark up and go on than 3 different copies. So what we might do at this time is ask the questions that you might have presently, and then for the next 2 weeks, we really sit down and have multiple meetings where 2 of you meet with me, and then 2 of you meet with me, and then we mix it around so we get a lot of input, and then we bring it back to you at another special called meeting to have this addressed.
You know, I'll just say this, I would have to bow out of it, because I know of some things that's happening to me that's gonna take me out of it.
Okay.
I just found out I've got to have surgery, so I don't know what the time and recovery and all on that is, so I'll be out of it. But, you know,
We will need a unanimous vote of this, so I will be more than happy to come and meet with you as you need, where you need to move this forward. If it's the wishes of the city council, we can work, and hopefully work with those. And I'm sorry to hear that you're going into surgery. I hope all is well.
it's not.
But we're willing to work with you within the parameters you need.
Okay. Yeah. I've got blocked arteries. Just gotta have surgery. Don't know what that entails. I don't really even get to talk to the doctor and surgeon until next week. So.
Give you a call, let me know. I'll find you. Other ideas, comments, concerns?
I think we're, as far as the city clerk and the city treasurer says, the same way with the city attorney, we need to put into where the city council appoints those, but holding to
Okay.
the city manager.
So, just since this is a discussion, we talked about that, because I think we originally said that, I think I originally did that the council would appoint that position, but then it sort of undermines the city manager, because then they would feel like they had to report to us.
That's why I said you appoint with them being beholden.
But if you have the power to hire and fire that position, they're gonna wanna talk to you, you know what I mean?
One way to do that, though, is have a recommendation by the city manager with final approval by the council. However, like you're saying, it is still under the responsibility and jurisdiction of the city manager. So that allows the city council to at least have the okay on that, because all other positions, city council has no say in the hiring, firing at all with those individuals.
So, I mean, as far as like you talk about city administration goes, or the administration of the city, we should have some type of say. The city council should have, you shouldn't just be able to, you or whoever comes after you, should just have the ability to appoint without the approval of the council.
That's why you hire the most educated and qualified individual with that job that you will entrust to run your city. But if you, that's easily written in there that the council approves the council would approve city clerk. And again, I think the council, where you want the city attorney, whether it's the same process or not, that's a big one. That's really a big one. City attorney is one of the most important positions in all of the city, so you don't play with that lightly.
We had to have a unanimous vote to change Strong mayor to be mayor?
Yes.
Okay.
You could try to have the legislature move it forward, but I know from my experience, they're not even gonna take it up. If your whole city council doesn't want it, never gonna happen.
Where do we stand on that?
We can't discuss votes right now, and we can't talk about whether you want to approve this or not. What you need to do is, again, you can work in groups to get the kind of charter that we want, and then we bring it forward for a vote. And at the time we have a
This is not a
vote.
personal thing, this is for the betterment of the city and just moving forward together. Whether it be you as city administrator, or you still remain mayor, any one of us or whatnot, become mayor or whatnot, it's not about us
for the betterment of the city.
as people, it's about the betterment of the city, so whatever personal, feelings you may have, it's best when you're going over there is to dump it to the side, because it's not you, it's not about you, it's not about any of us. We don't serve at the pleasure of ourselves, we serve at the pleasure of the citizens.
The good thing about this is we're all at the table right now, and we're all putting input in, so it's obvious we're working to come up with something that citizens want, so that's the positive I take for where we're at right now. There's a long way to go, but we're making use of it.
I'll interject this, Hope knows it too, but, before we hired Dale, Teresa was run ragged, trying just to keep up with everything that's going on. And at her pay, she can't afford to do that. So, this sounds like it makes a lot of sense to go to a city manager form of government. But again, like Dale said, you gotta have the right one, and you gotta turn it over and let them run it.
You gotta let the policies dictate
Yep.
how things go. If you have good
Exactly.
policies in place and a good person
And
in
it's a
place.
done deal right there, no questions asked.
There are a lot of nuances. If this is the direction you want to go, there'll be discussions about some wording and whether the person's internal, external, how they're hired. Those are things that can be negotiated out. I think as long as we're moving forward to saying this is the form of government you have, we've looked at other model charters that work elsewhere, something can be done.
We're getting to the point, population-wise and even acreage-wise, where people expect to come to City Hall and see whoever's in charge. And, you can't tell them that, well, the mayor is off doing something else and
The mayor's doing her full-time job or something.
the mayor's doing her full-time job, and we don't know for sure when she'll be back in office to talk to you, but we'll see what we can do. I mean,
Can we
that's
talk
not
about-
professional anymore.
Like districting options, if we were to consider that?
Yeah, I thought about some districting, and Justin and I talked about some things. Keep in mind, and nothing, I'm looking into a crystal ball, okay? So don't hold me for everything. But this is going to be the majority of your population, 3,000 homes right here. So this, how many homes do we have out here roughly, Justin? Do you remember offhand?
800.
Yeah, so we'll say 1,000 here and 3,000 here. Where's the voting population going to be?
In that one neighborhood.
It's all gonna be, now, there's two neighborhoods here. There's one neighborhood here and one neighborhood here, because this is the private side and this is the public side. So we can anticipate that over time, the majority would go back down in this area. I'm not for districting at this time. My suggestion is not to do that because we don't have the population. It's really hard to distribute it equal votes the way our population is now. But you could put something in there in the future that says perhaps if we have 5, and I'm coming up with 5 just because it was written in there, you could have 1 from here, 1 from here, 2 from here because of the size of the landmass, and then 1 at large. There's your 5. Now, how will that work out? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but
When we changed the charter last time, Tommy Benton came out there 3 different times, and he said the rest of the legislature wanted us to do districts. And I took a piece of paper that had all of our city on it, and I put dots as far back as I could recollect and anybody could remember of where city council lived. Like we had one from the other side of 53 in 20 years or something like that. And I said, I don't know how you want me to do this, there's nobody to run. And he said, well, it's not just me, I'm just telling you what they want. Well, Thomas and I sat there and went over and over and over it with him, and pretty much promised him in 3 years we would do something. Well, 6 years has gone by and we haven't done anything, but it's because we couldn't. Again, where we are right now, we don't have anybody from that side of town. You cannot make people run. I don't know how you're gonna make this work, but I can tell you, when you take this to him, and it does not have some kind of districts or wards or whatever y'all wanna call it in some form, he's gonna ask for it.
Well, tell them put it in writing.
Well, it's not just him, honey, it's all the
I just said
legislature.
that they, and the legislation could put it in writing. If we don't have the people to do it, it can't be done.
Well, that's what I said too.
So we just put it in writing.
Just telling you what they're gonna come up with.
Justin and I could sit down and do a projection of population, because there has to be a balanced population in
does.
each area. I'm looking at, and again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and at large is 5. I don't know, because I don't know the total number
Well, you see,
of houses that
Brazelton,
we have.
Brazelton already ran into this. Majority of their people are from Chateau Lawn on their city
That's
council.
what I'm not saying that's a bad way to go about it, but that's what we're trying to avoid, having all of your votes come from one section. Because if they all come from here, and I have nothing against this development, then how do the people up here get
You're not properly represented.
correct?
So to change this from weak to strong, let me ask you this. It has to be unanimous, it has to be done by what time?
We can do it at any time, but there's deadlines that go to the government, or for the state.
Remember, our state government is part-time, they're not
Okay, well,
full-time.
They have a vote in spring and a vote in fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Well,
don't do too
if
much.
Mr. Cleveland is out with health issues, is he gonna still be able to vote?
Yes.
Yes, certainly.
Mhm.
You can do it by phone or.
Mhm.
Okay. And with that,
But if by chance, if we miss spring, because we have a very tight window, you're dealing with, a month with the holidays. That's 2 weeks out. So 2
And you
weeks.
have to have this perfect.
So we have 2 weeks to finalize this. If we miss spring, there's fall. There's always spring, fall. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't try to get it on that time, but keep in mind that there are other projects also in the works too, that we're trying to get out before the end of this year. The budget, and that's, with some revisions that you guys have brought forward, there's things on that, but there's a lot to be done in 2 weeks.
Is there a requirement for public hearings, like how many and spaced out, and what are those requirements?
I'd have to clarify that, I'm not sure offhand.
Can you remember offhand? We had lots of meetings.
There's usually one first reading and then an adoption, typically like a budget, but I'd have to clarify to say how many meetings we have.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking too, there's a first public hearing, a second public hearing with a vote immediately following.
Gotcha.
Right,
Yeah, you gotta have some meetings where the public can speak out. for their
right, because
thoughts.
again, they haven't even seen this. You guys got it hot off the presses, so everybody's gonna wanna see this and have, input. And obviously, you guys make the appointment, but you wanna obviously hear what your constituents wanna do.
you got a timeline on kinda,
When?
yeah,
Well, all I got was a phone call
yeah, I understand
that,
that.
the results from test, and they told me that, if I needed to, call their emergency number,
I got you.
Yeah, we
But-
can have them before they come out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
but
Yeah.
otherwise.
Good
thing
call
you have
with
Shan Pond
Tuesday
next
of
to you
next
just in
week.
case.
Yeah,
And they said they would plan everything next Tuesday. So, I don't know if they're gonna do it all at one time or what.
Antoine gave him my mouth.
Turkey, a lot of turkey.
I think everybody should go home and digest this, cause there's a lot in here, and you really need to read the old charter and this and think. Cause this is a major change. I'm not saying I'm against it or for it or anything like that. I wanna see how you guys feel, but this is a major change, and you're putting a lot of the city into a person's hands that was not elected.
But it doesn't matter what, once again, it doesn't matter what any of us want, because we don't work for ourselves, we work for them. So it's about what the citizens want, it doesn't, we have to do what they want us to do. Everything has a consequence.
And having put this together, keep in mind, I presented this to everyone with input from Hope and some other
Yeah, he did.
items, other items that I've heard talked about and had in our, my assessment in the city in the first 6 months. So this is not the end all be all. Things can change in this, and I highly recommend, I apologize for any typos and things that are in it,
No, this is a good start.
but it's a start.
It's a good start. What I was trying to say, Antoine, is I'm not trying to tell y'all how to do this, I'm telling you all to study it. It doesn't matter how I feel, y'all are city council. I want you to study it and really know that that's what you wanna do, because that is a major change. Now, before Dale come on, we had a, city administrator, and she had not ever been a city administrator. So we struggled very hard. So when we got ready to try again, I wanted to make sure we had somebody that we hired that had experience. Because somebody just can't come in a job and, when they're the head person, and not have experience,
Well,
so.
that makes perfect sense, that should have happened the first time too, but we can't go backwards.
No, we can't. We were working with very small funds. Sometimes you cannot get the best when you don't have but so many funds to work with. But Dale has came in and done an excellent job, in my opinion. He has picked up things and fixed things and straightened out things, because I certainly did not go to school to be a mayor or anything like this. My forte was different from this. But, if you don't want mistakes to happen, then you need to hire somebody that really knows what they're doing. I went to school for this, and that's what y'all are trying to come to here, and I think that, any progress that you do to the charter is gonna be good. As you grow, the charter has to be changed to fit the municipality.
Thank you for those kind words, Mayor. Also, keep in mind on this has not had legal review
That's
at all. So,
We have to go
once
through
we
that.
get a little more refined, we'll send it over to our legal counsel and have them going through it. I didn't want to do it at this stage because we're not there yet. I don't want to spend the money to do that until we have something we want as a council.
What's the chance of having an outside review?
That's what I was looking at.
Yes, we need an outside review.
We can certainly do that. But again, we don't want to have an outside review until we have a draft of something that we all agree on.
And it will be reviewed by your other legislators too.
Yeah, the
And their
legislators
attorneys,
really go into
and
it.
their attorneys.
When is the next time we can have a public meeting about, charter?
Do we need to put it in the paper so that we gotta
I
wait so
think we
many
need
days?
I would like more people to attend with input.
But at our next regular meeting, we can do it.
Fifth and the ninth.
Fifth and the ninth.
Our regular meeting is the 5th.
But that thing's gonna be, that thing's already got act, yeah, it is. Do we have to wait 2 weeks to put it in the paper, or we don't know?
We don't have to, if we're just having a special
And we're not
meeting
voting,
and
okay.
not voting, we can do it at any time you want.
Okay.
Call an emergency meeting and do that to get this done.
Okay.
If we're having a vote, we have to make sure it's a public hearing and advertise it properly.
Well, when do you wanna come back?
We need public input regardless of the fact, because that's who we'll be holding to.
I'm not
Okay,
gonna be
we
able
can
to.
meet as long as we don't vote, guys.
Yeah.
So,
You-
as long as
you
everybody
really-
be open, then we can meet.
We've seen it time after time, you're not gonna get a lot of public input.
Yeah.
Well, I-
This,
I believe with the amount of votes in this last election, I'm hoping more people will come out.
I understand.
Hoping.
the more people that are involved in the process, the better, because it is their charter.
Right.
We all
She
agree
got a
with
problem.
that.
But they would, seems like a lot of them would rather, you just go ahead and do it, and we'll complain about it after you do it.
And then, that's in line some problem.
Okay,
That's
so
what
we,
you already know.
Laura, let's get back to where we were trying to do.
We have a meeting on the 5th, which is our normal council meeting,
But you need one before.
And then we have it on the 9th again, which is our budget, and then our council meeting when we vote.
But both of those are jam-packed
On
with
the ninth,
agenda.
are we expected, what is that, this voting session where we vote on the budget?
We vote on the budget,
Mhm.
and then we also vote on all the items that we have on, that we discussed at
agenda.
the 5th.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, you're probably gonna have to have it after the 9th, because I don't think you can meet your advertising requirements, because, you know, Thursday, Friday is a holiday. Our normal deadline for the paper is to get stuff in on Friday for it to be run on that Wednesday. So
Well,
that would
today's
be,
Monday.
the paper would go, so if we could get it in there hypothetically,
Hypothetically,
This
if we got it
Friday.
in the morning,
We're going a day early this week.
y'all gonna day early, so y'all already did it today?
It's done.
Okay. Okay.
so.
So the earliest we could get it to run would be the 11th.
No. No.
What's the deadline? I'm sorry.
no.
Third,
But
the,
The third.
the issue of the third, whatever that preceding Friday
Okay.
is,
So,
that would be this Friday.
this coming Friday.
yeah.
Are y'all open Friday?
What's the deadline on the budget?
You can send an email, somebody
Is
will.
it hard deadline on the budget? Is it hard deadline?
On so we can turn it in and we will have next week as a,
For the budget.
We would have to re-advertise.
Budget?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a hard
We advertise
deadline.
next week,
Like,
because we can't get it in this week.
Has to be done.
You with me?
We got too many conversations. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right,
It's gotta be
listen.
approved, it's that establishment.
Yes.
Approved by the committee.
Okay, listen. We can't get it in this week, so it would be the first of next week. So we could call next week a week. Until, I mean, is 1 week all I gotta run it?
I think it's 2 weeks, but I'll need to check on, I'm not sure.
Well, this is running
charter
this way
requirements.
too long.
Hey, Joe, we got, aren't we looking in the charter right now? We got the charter in front of us. What are we looking for?
State regulations on revising the charter.
And it won't be in
It
there.
won't be in this thing. I thought we were talking about the advertising.
Okay, look, guys. Dale will send us an email as quick as he finds out, and we will get something to, the paper, to Mike, ASAP, soon as we can, even though it won't run until next week. And when you do run them, let's run 2 meetings. Let's go ahead and say we're gonna have 2 meetings. Let's don't wait till we have a meeting and then try to do it again. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll schedule those 1 week and then the following week, unless it falls on Christmas, obviously.
And it doesn't matter if we have 2 meetings
And
in
then we
1
throw
week.
another one at you too, because we used to have meetings at 7 o'clock, and nobody came to council meetings, because once they got home, they didn't want to come back out. So now we've been having them at 5:30. So why don't we look at 6 or 6:30 or something?
That's what we-
I sent an email to Dale that said, let's try changing this to 6:30, and if we see the same result, we go back.
Yeah, that's what we did before.
Yeah.
Because we would all get here, there would be nobody here, and we were tired, we'd already went home.
I
and
got
then
you,
they
yeah, they
didn't
have
wanna
to
come
go home
back.
and come back.
But
Yeah.
times change and
We'll
things
see
change.
if this
You know,
new movement in Hoschton has got.
people complain about them being at 7, and so.
Yeah, we did.
We think we're saying 6:30.
On behalf of staff, I'll put this out there, we close at 4:30. So it does make it more difficult for staff. If that's what the council wants, we'll do as you ask.
Is all
Well, I'm
staff
thinking at least
requirement-
these meetings, and let's see what,
Is there a requirement though for all staff to be present?
There's no requirement for any staff to be present, but for you to be informed and get the information you need, it's very important that we have
Jennifer to take,
Jennifer,
Yeah.
Justin, and myself here, and that's your staff.
Well,
that's it.
that's the whole staff.
Yeah, man, we're running with 6.5 people.
Well, I think we give it a trial run, and if it fails,
Yeah.
we go back.
I will bring
See what you
forward
can do.
at the next work session revisions to our meeting requirements that put it as adopted in your calendar schedule. Because right now it sets a place and a time in the ordinances. So if we're gonna follow the ordinances,
It says 7.
It says
It
7
says
o'clock at
7
City
o'clock.
Hall.
Yeah.
At City Hall.
Here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't all
So
get in.
I'm gonna bring that in
Wow.
at the next month, and we can't change the next meeting because it's already advertised. So we have our meeting at 5:30. However, what I can do is change the ordinance. I'll bring that forward at our meeting in December, where you guys can change it so we'll have flexibility. So I'll work on that and have that brought to you. It's just another item to add to your agenda and things.
Okay, everybody got something to go home and study and share with your citizens and ask their opinions, and let's see what we come back with.
Another thing to keep in mind, we're putting in a lot of meetings, but we also have a meeting on January 2nd, potentially, and January 6th, potentially, already scheduled.
That's
So we
right.
can piggyback on those for adoption, if we get in other meetings.
What do we accomplish here today?
You have a draft in your hand that has been reviewed and presented to you, and you have been given draft information that you can now decide in which direction you wanna go.
And you can go and compare. And you've also been given some models that you might follow behind. You might read something in here you like and say, hey, I wanna put that in there. Or we wanna make sure we don't put that in there.
And be aware that we're here to assist you. If you have questions as you go through this, you say, what does this mean? How can we do this? Or if you, in some of your research, find that you really like some other process, talk about it. We'll figure it out.
And if any of you too want to meet with Dale, you can. And tell Dale what you got in mind. Dale turns around, he'll share it with me or share it with you guys afterwards, but we can do some of that way.
So I think it was a good step tonight to move us forward. I'll make sure I get a couple more copies for the public to take home tonight. And I apologize,
That's
fighting
okay.
with that copy machine all day.
Jennifer? I know, it's because you weren't here. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, second. Okay, all in favor? Thank you.